Hi, welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful week and you're ready for another meeting. In this meeting, I will be doing the second part of the hosting a trap episode because, as I promised on our first episode of this series, that I would be doing another one telling you about the ending to the story, and this will be it. So today I'll be talking about what we did to solve the problem, what actually were the responses from Ostinga's support team, and of course the final response from Ostinga and the ending to this saga. So stick around, grab your cup of coffee or tea, come in. The meeting is about to start. And I now declare the meeting open. So, as I said, today I'm going to talk about the ending of all the saga with my client's domain and website. Um, as you know, and just to put you a little bit into the story, she moved their website to web hosting company Hostinga. Then she proceeded to move her domain. She paid for the transfer, and then they claimed she had to renew it. She did. 24 hours or more than 24 hours prior to the expiry date, and still Ostinga let it expire. It went into grace period, and she was with no website, with no email for 5 days because her domain was expired and it was in grace period, and no company could have access to it because basically it was stuck. Only after 30 days the domain would have been released to be re-registered in case you wanted it. So this happened on the Saturday. Daniela contacted Ostinga straight away, as I said in a previous video. On the first days, they kept on claiming that the payment had not been received, which was false because Daniela had made the payment with a credit card, the transfer had gone through, and she had in her possession the receipt that Ostinga sent to her, and even on their dashboard, the invoice on her payment history, there that invoice was there and actually was paid. It was set, the status of that invoice was paid, and it was written in green, bold green scripting. So it was more than a proof that actually the invoice was paid and there was nothing to pay. So she kept on putting pressure. We thought that because the company is, I believe the headquarters are in Cyprus, but the support is in Lithuania. All right, it's in Europe. We assumed, okay, during the day on Monday they may not do anything, even though they say they have support 24/7. But it's another thing; it may not work like that. And maybe on Monday we're not going to get anything. Only at the end of the day, which is when Monday starts for them, which didn't happen. We kept on putting pressure on Ostinga about that. Nothing was happened. Nothing, absolutely nothing. No explanation of how did that domain expired if it was paid really more than a day before. There was no explanations. There was no nothing. Basically, we had absolutely nothing from Ostinga. They then changed the discourse from the payment to we are waiting on your registrar, we are waiting on your registrar, and honestly we were quite confused because back then we didn't know about all these procedures with registrars, etc., etc., and that's why we decided to do this video and do this series, because we think that people should know everything about these things so they don't fall into traps like this, because it's so bad, and the damage that it can cause to a company and the stress that it can cause you, it's so much just for a tiny little thing that we all take for granted, and we all think, okay, I pay it and that's it and it's done. Well, sometimes it isn't. So she kept on putting pressure. What happened? What happened? I want an explanation. We are waiting on your registrar. And we said, but what registrar? We don't have a registrar. The domain has been registered last year. I'm not registering a domain. I'm just in this particular case, I'm not even transferring it. I'm just renewing it because that's what your email said, that I needed to renew it, and I did. But we still need to wait to your registrar, which we found out. We asked for the name of the registrar, and we find out it is a company registered in India. And we kept on waiting, but obviously Daniela was desperate, as you would. She had no email. Her company is highly dependent on emails. Back then, she was losing orders. She was not being able to communicate with her suppliers, not being able to communicate with her clients, because that's the contact, the point of contact that they have. They have the phone, they can call her, but these days people usually use the email, and to place orders is so much easier because now even your accounting systems just have purchase orders, and then you just type in what you want and you send to your supplier, and it's easier. And a lot of Daniela's clients do it that way, and so does she. So she was completely blocked off. She couldn't contact suppliers, she couldn't contact clients, she couldn't receive invoices from suppliers that were waiting payment. So she couldn't pay because she didn't have the invoices in her hand to pay. So this was not damaging her business, was damaging her reputation. It was causing her a huge amount of stress. She was highly stressed. I was highly stressed because I was trying to help her out with this situation. So this is how it unfolded. So we decided to contact an IT consultant, someone that works in IT, even though it does not work in web hosting or anything connected with the internet. It actually works in a totally different. Is a systems analyst, so it's different, but obviously he has a lot of knowledge on about this and all these things. And he came up with the idea that since it's a top level domain, a country code top level domain.com.au, it's ruled by ODA. So he thought maybe we could contact ODA, and because they are the owners of these domains, they could help us out. So that's what we did. I contacted ODA on Daniela's behalf, and I explained the situation. I explained everything that Hostingo was doing to us. I explained that she had been without the use of her business. Her business was blocked by Hostingo for then 3 days, and they were very helpful. They contacted us and said that obviously they could not unblock it because it was in grace period. But what they could do was to put in contact, direct contact with the registrar where the domain was registered at the time, and they could solve the problem with her. So they could release the domain again so she could proceed with her business. But for that, they had to contact her directly. The registrar contacted Daniela directly, and 24 hours later, the problem was solved. However, on Hostinger's part, the answer was always the same. We're waiting for your registrar. You need to be patient and wait. So at some stage, we just told them, so you're damaging my business. You basically destroying my business, my way of life, and you tell me to be patient and wait. For what? For it to be completely destroyed? Then Hostinga came up with a brilliant idea. I think you will be impressed. They proposed and offered Daniela to register a totally different domain while the problem was being solved. obviously they knew what they have done. They knew that the domain had been expired and they had to wait 30 days for it to be released again, because they never thought, and this is a web hosting company that should have more knowledge than we do, than an IT consultant that actually worked in a totally different industry knew, and they never contacted Oda. So they offered a new domain, to which she replied, why? What would I need a new domain for? My clients know me in this domain. This is the email that they know. This is the website that they know. Why would I want a new domain for? To then what? So basically, it was just a masking of a situation, and they never ever had the decency to explain exactly what happened. To then, when the problem was solved, when the registrar contacted Daniela and they released the domain, she was in the chat with this company, and they out of a sudden sent her a screenshot of her website. Oh, we've got news. Oh, can you please try if your website is working, because it's working on our site, and uh, check if your email is working. Blah 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 blah. And she was like, oh goodness me. Obviously the email was working. Obviously the website was up and running, because obviously she had spoken to the registrar in Australia and they had released the domain. Otherwise, we would have still be waiting until the end of June. Basically, it would be about to finish our story at the 21st of June. That's when the 30 days would expire. So again, we prepared a letter for Ostinga. Obviously, after this, we were extremely upset. Problem was solved, but Ostinga has done nothing. Ostinga has not provided a proper answer to our questions, has not provided a proper explanation as to why Daniela's domain was expired. And we sent a letter, obviously requesting that explanation to be provided, as well as a refund of all monies paid to that company. Daniela wanted to move away from that company and never hear from them again. She, before she sent the letter, and to play on the safe side, she contacted a company in Australia that was in the order list as accredited registrars, which is Ventra IP. She contacted them. She made a lot of inquiries. She told them her story, and she was happy with the answers that she got from this company. And she moved the site immediately. She moved the domain immediately, and once everything was completed, which was in a few days, she sent a letter to Ostinga requesting an explanation of what has happened and a total refund of a hosting plan and domain registration, renewal, whatever. Everything that she paid to that company, she wanted it back because she had already moved away from them. They kept on referring her to a million departments, because that company has a million departments but has no solutions. You'll find the compliance department. You'll find the quality department, which they don't have any. You'll find the abuse department, which is a funny one. So there's plenty. Every single time they talk to you and you made a comment about something that they've done, oh, why don't you bring this to the attention of this department and send an email to the. Once they actually told her, if it's not abusing your patients, could you send an email to compliance, blah, 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 to what she said. So now I have to do your job as well. If I'm telling it to you, you send email and you talk to the person in the right department. So this company is the dysfunctional. It's horrible, honestly. Then she sent a letter asking. Then they said in their response, they came up with all their policies about refunds, that they are entitled to to this sort of disruption, blah 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 blah. but they would give her the refund. Obviously, if you read their policy of refunds, they would always protect themselves. So another thing that you should be wary and you should be worried. Read the fine print, because a lot of these companies, they up to no good, and this one is one of them. Then, but they actually honor the promise that they made during the whole saga of refunding money. So they refunded all her money, and they were very generous, and they offered a 1 year extension of her hosting plan. This is silly because when they actually offered this, Daniela had already moved her website, her domain, everything was out of Hostinga already. So she was actually laughing when she read that. Obviously, she refused. And then she said that, and then they claim, and this was the claim that the final explanation they gave her, that the domain was expired, or expired because the registrar did not have all the information about her business, and to register .com.au you need to provide your ABN, which is Australian business number. Well, that is false. If Oda and the registrar did not have the ABN, Daniela would have never been able to register that domain. Is one of the requirements to register a .com.au is that you prove that you are an Australian business. One of the ways that you prove you are an Australian business is to have an Australian business number, or ABN. So that was false. Plus, even if it was in fact true that they tried to renew the domain, and they did not have the ABN, since she was already complaining, or when she started the process, a little message asking, Daniela, would you please provide your ABN so we can register your domain? And in a few seconds, the problem would have been solved without the domain expire. Plus, she also had to provide that information when she signed in with Hostinga, so they had it there. So it's another thing that doesn't add up. She obviously replied back saying, "Nah, this is not true," and she told them about all the regulations in regards to .com.au domains. And then she obviously informed them of what she did. That she contacted an IT consultant, she contacted Hoda, and it was Hoda, and it was the registrar where the domain was registered at the time that solved the problem in our end. To then Hostinga answers that they can prove who contacted who. And this is a company that provides web hosting and provides domain registration. They don't know. They had no idea. We came to the conclusion that they had no idea of what they were doing. They did not know how to deal with this type of domain. The registrar took too long to answer, because looks like, and they said it in one of their communications, that they take up to 48 hours to answer. So this is what must have happened, and this is an assumption. But if you read between the lines, and if you see what has happened here, it does make sense that this is what happened. When Daniela renewed the domain, they must have actioned the process of renewing it. But because that registered of theirs, not hers, takes up to 48 hours to respond, when they actually went and actioned something, the domain was already expired, and they didn't know how to get out of it because it was already in grace period. And because they didn't know how to solve the problem, they kept on offering her a new domain. They keep on coming with lame excuses for what was happening. And in the meantime, she was 5 days without the use of her business, or without the function, the normal function of her business. This was caused her a tremendous amount of stress. It caused me a tremendous amount of stress, because as you can imagine, it can't be comparable to the stress it caused to my client. And this is what has happened to me. And because my domain was .com, they issued me a refund. straight away because they promised um, email registration for free, blah, blah, blah. And the information was not clear as per registering a new domain or transferring a new domain. So they refunded me, and I thought the problem was solved. But because I commented on their Facebook and I exposed also their practice of deleting um, bad feedback on their social media pages, they stopped actually deleting the comments on the social media pages, and they started offering me things. So they offered me premium support. I thought they had a great support 24/7. And as well, the extension of my hosting plan for another year, to what I said, no, thank you very much. But as soon as my plan finishes, I'll be moving everything that I've got with your company because I don't want anything to do with your company anymore. And I'm now considering, even if I lose my money, I'm considering changing because I don't trust this company anymore. Their servers are too slow. I'm constantly trying. The other day, it took me more than 20 minutes just to upload my plugins on WordPress. So please, um, shop around. Don't be fooled by the good prices and the 4-year plans of this company. They are trouble. They will cause you a lot of stress. And believe me, the stress and the losses that they will cause to your business will be uh, way greater than any discount you may have with them. And I now declare the meeting open. Today, as I said, the meeting was a little bit longer than usual, but I really needed to expose all this situation and I really needed to tell you everything that happened to Daniela. Um, Please, if you have any questions about anything that you heard in this video and you would like to have more information about the situation, please contact me. Put a comment below and I'll be very happy to answer you and explain further what happened to us. Or if you have an experience with a hosting company, bad one like the one we had with Ostinga, or a good one with another company, because I think it's important that we put the good ones out there, because sometimes they don't pay the big dollars and they may not be at the top of our Google search. And it's a pity because there's pretty good ones out there, and only these bad apples sometimes appear. Um, Please comment, share with us. Um, Before I go, I would like to say that this is not intended to be any sort of hate speech against this company or anything like that. I hate negativity. I hate everything that has to do with slamming. All these videos are is exposing a situation that we have proof of that happened to a client of mine, and she suffered dealing with all of this that was caused by Ostinga. I was balanced in my opinion. I told you everything that actually happened, that they honored their their promise and they actually made a full refund of her money. She is no longer a client, so in the end they actually did the right thing. However, they always failed to explain and to give her a proper explanation of what has happened, because as we realized, they never solved the problem in the first place. We did. So this is just an expose. This is to expose what they have done and to create awareness about companies like this so you don't fall in the same trap. Um, Before I go, put a like, put a like in the video, you know, the YouTube, the algorithm, the old story, and subscribe the channel with a little click on the bell so you have a notification of a meeting every week. Before I go, I would like to wish you all a very good week. See you next time. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.